I'm letting it play. Jeff Russ is jamming. Picking up on a conversation that Jeff Russ brought up here on the last segment, as far as Shaden Sharp starting Jeremy Grant coming off the bench, and the consistency and the honestly prolific play that we've seen from Jeremy Grant through the first 4 games. He is shooting the living crap out of the ball.
No, he is. He has been fantastic.
He's in the 96th percentile in effective field goal percentage. He is shooting 68.5% effective field goal percentage.
Yeah,
88% at the rim, 48% from 3.
I don't think that there has been at least I don't think there's been a bigger critic of Jeremy Grant over the last season or two here. Anyway, I don't speak that much on the air, I guess. But anyway, he has not looked great the last season or two. He is coming out like gangbusters, and I love it. And I love it. To me, it's almost a Lane Kiffin-esque redemption story. You know what I mean? And so, but I do think that it also just helps prove to me anyway that for him on this team and on this roster, that first guy off the bench role is the best spot for him.
See, I don't think necessarily it proves or disproves anything. I think Jeremy would have done this in the starting lineup as well. And this is why I think that. I've talked about like roles and responsibilities within a lineup, no matter what's a starting group, a bench group, mixed group, closing group, whatever it is. There's rules that kind of define these things as players. You can't have, I mean, you can get super crazy when you have like the Heatles, when you've got, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, LeBron James, and you can have 3 overwhelming stars on the floor, or you have the Warriors' death lineup. Like they do happen, where they can kind of take roles and just blow them up.
But let's face it, this Trailblazers team, we're not exactly the traveling Wilburys.
No, it's not. But within lineups, you have to have creators, you have to have finishers, and you have to have playmakers offensively. And where I think Shaedon is finding his problems is that, because Drew and Denny are guys that they fit this new style, this new system a lot better, I think it's hard for Shaedon to find his groove with that group, because Denny's a downhill force who wants to create. And he's not going to really dilly-dally on the ball. When the ball gets to him, it's catch and drive, catch and shoot, or catch and keep it moving. Right? You don't see him going triple threat very often. You don't see him kind of hesitate. It's very, very, very quick processing. Drew Holiday, very much the same. Catch and shoot, go into a step back, into the shot clock. Like he just knows. It's the basketball IQ, it's the acumen, it's the feel, it's all those kind of things. Let's use the Sacramento Kings, DeMar DeRozan.
Okay.
You can ask DeMar to take all the threes you want. Hell, let's use a former Trailblazer. You can ask CJ McCollum to take all the threes that you want. You know what he's going to do? He's going to get into the mid-range, and he's going to take mid-rangers. You can't change a Tiger Stripes. And I'm not saying that Shaedon can't evolve and get better.
Right.
But I don't look at him as a play finisher. I look at him as a creator, and I feel like his role within that lineup right now, with how he has been as a player so far through 3+ years, is that he doesn't understand where he can get his.
Gotcha.
Where if he was coming off the bench right now, I think it would be much more clear what that would look like. Does that make sense?
So if I'm picking up what you're putting down, is that even though I think that his best role is in that starting unit where he's not the man and he's not the dude,
it would almost be better if he was, if he was higher up the pecking order.
He has a hard time finding his identity in that role, whereas if he were the 6th man, the first guy off the bench.
Let's put it this way, where if the starting lineup was Drew to Jeremy Donovan, and the first guy out
we can't have 2 twos.
But if the first guy out was Denny,
okay,
and you slide 2 up to the 3 and Jeremy up to the 4, or whatever, however you want to have that,
right,
to basically the starting lineup, but you take one of the creators out in Denny.
Gotcha.
Where there's a little bit more, because 2 and Jeremy are play finishers. They're not guys that are going to, drive and kick regularly or try to trigger the offense. Now, Jeremy can, but that's not really what he is.
Right.
He's a play finisher. Tumani is a play finisher. They have little flourishes of other things, but when the ball finds them in an open spot, what are they going to do? They're going to shoot or they're going to attack. It's a very binary decision where Guys like Drew, Shea, and Denny as creators, their decisions aren't nearly as binary. There's more paths for them.
Okay.
And I think with Shaedon, if he was coming into that group with one less creator on the floor or one guy who spends a little less time on the ball, that clears some of the fog for him in his decision tree.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes. So I'm trying to wrangle everything around in here. So I think what you're saying is that Shaden Sharp needs to not try to figure out how to fit in with the other 4 guys around him in a starting lineup, but he needs to feel better. He feels better about being
playing his
dude
way.
off the being the main guy off the second unit.
Not necessarily that, just where
and in terms of how he fits in, what his role is in the offense.
I think he could be just fine in the starting lineup if he was higher up in the pecking order.
Okay.
But because he's not, and he's not because Drew and Denny are better. They just are.
So still what I'm picking up is that it's a perceived role situation.
I think that's part of it, but it's also his style of play.
Okay.
Can it evolve? That's really the question that I have with him. Because the shot selection that he's taken a couple of shots. I'm like, don't do that. But for the most part, his shot selection, it's his shot diet. It's what I expect. Shots at the rim, a mid-range pull-up threes. But something about it just feels like he's pressing because he's not sure where to get it, when to get it, how to get it. You know what I mean? Like there's...
No, I do. And that's why I'm kind of questioning why, because I don't think that... I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this correctly.
No, it's a more intrinsic thing. It is
because I don't know that, and I don't know that he has it in him to. And this is, I'm not trying to take shots at him because I'm not.
You can't change a player's stripes. Like you can't change the Tiger stripes. That's the delicate balance of like lineups and how they fit together.
But I don't know that. I don't think that Shaedon is a top 1 guy off the bench, lead the unit type of dude.
But see, that's the thing is when he comes in,
he's a guy that comes in and then is like the number 3 guy, fits in, whatever, even number 2, whatever.
See, that's the thing is if he comes in where he's the number 2, or if you take Denny off the floor, and it's him and Drew are the more on ball guys, I think Shaedon probably does better. I think the fact that he's kind of vacillating between that 3-4 spot is a weird spot for him.
But I guess my question is, though, is that a better spot instead of asking him to expect to be the number 1 off the bench? Because I don't think he's comfortable with that either.
I think you're in the more traditional mold of 6-man. I think you're thinking like more Jamal Crawford. Like
no, I totally, absolutely.
But I don't think that role has to be that.
And because I'm thinking of it in the way that Jeremy has been these first 4 games this season.
But Jeremy is Jeremy no matter what.
Right.
That's exactly. Whether he's starting or coming off the bench.
I understand.
His mindset is the same. And I think that's the difference is that Shaedon's mindset and his play style, they aren't matching right now.
No, yeah. Well, and I think that Jeremy's mindset and Shaedon's mindset in terms of being the first guy off a bench or whatever, I don't think that has to mesh because that's not going to be a thing. Right? Like it's not going to... I'm not explaining myself well here.
No, I'm getting what you're saying.
But I just, it's like a lot of things when we get to football and we talk about head coaches and coordinators moving into head coaching spots and whatnot, and how there are some guys that are they're coordinators and not a head coach.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, no, it's that role and responsibility part.
So I think that's kind of somehow... Stick with me here.
No, here's
I think it is apropos for both Shaden Sharp and Jeremy Grant in this scenario. That I don't think either one of them is a head coach. Neither one of them is a number 1.
Sure,
they're both maybe a number 2 or a number 3. They're an offensive coordinator, and that's great. But the way to figure it out is to figure out which of those offensive coordinators is best being with the starters and versus being the one off the bench.
I get what you're saying. I disagree because I think we're still splitting up the bench starter role more than it is now in today's NBA because there was more delineation back then. There's a text here. Sounds like you're saying Shea needs to be a big fish in a small pond instead of being a small fish in a lake. That's we're getting there,
Mhm.
but again, I hate using the word intrinsic, but it really is. There's this thing about it that something just isn't matching. Like I mentioned the idea on the post game the other night with Joe that it's the gears,
Mhm.
and sometimes the teeth touch. And,
Right.
it works and it moves,
Yep.
but the gears aren't perfectly matched. So when
Yeah.
they do spin, sometimes they spin away, and all of a sudden they aren't. Both gears are they're spinning alone instead of together.
Mhm.
For a split second, they might come together, but for whatever reason, it's just not quite there. And I
Right.
don't. And that's why I want. That's what I want to see over the next 6 games for Shaden.
Mhm.
Is does he start to understand? Because it's not just his role; it's this new offense. There's multiple things that are at play. And that's why I'm not sitting here crucifying, because the effort, the intensity, the energy, the focus, the stuff that we question isn't
Yeah.
there. The production isn't.
Yeah.
Are those mutually exclusive, or can they come together?
Yeah. And I think where, and again, splitting hairs, and this is just a differences of opinion. To me, I would prefer to see Shaden being the number 3 or 4 guy in the starting lineup rather than number 1 coming off the bench. Because I think that his shot will start to fall. He will start hitting shots. And I think that and through the small 4-game sample size, Jeremy Grant has proved that the last season or so, flukes, whatever. But I think that is the kind of the burst
Shea will
that you
improve
need
and
off the
Jeremy will
bench.
drop off a little bit. Like those 2 things are
Yeah.
happening because Jeremy's been in, like, he's
Yeah.
one of the best shooters
No,
in the
exactly.
league right now.
Everything will sort of revert back to the mean.
You'll
right?
you'll find something in there.